Yeah, hello everybody, my name is Knockoff Applier, and in today's episode we're going to go about making it so you can colorize hats and hair to your heart's content. This video is brought to you by the super really cool guys on Patreon. We got XX Brasta 455XX, Daniel and Average Fella, Kian McKeon, Crawler TM, and David Shook. Thanks a lot guys for your generous $10 donations. It really helps out a lot. Also, thanks a lot to the rest of the patrons. You guys are really helping out a lot to make it easier to do these sorts of videos. So where we left off in the last part, we had just added this fedora on the crash. Actually, somebody said in the comments that it's not a fedora, to which I say, whatever. But since then, I did some work off camera, just making a few adjustments so it fit a little bit better on Crash's head. I also went ahead and actually unwrapped the damn thing, because I was noticing that there was some, the bad UVs were causing some lighting problems with the dynamic lighting. And besides that, Llama's Cartoons in the comments said, add a dunce hat please, thanks. So off camera I went ahead and did that as well. But right, so now the mission is to figure out some way to make it so we can colorize the hats. So what I've already done, I went ahead into the new dunce hat just because it was the most recent one I was working on, and we've added a material instance parameter to allow us to modify the color at runtime. So just to show you how that works, if I just change this to like all red, and we just apply that, and we run the game, and we put the dunce hat on, we got a red one. What we want to be able to do is actually manipulate that while the game's running, which is actually not that big of a deal. But what we're going to need to do is go into our other hats and add that same material parameter so we can manipulate all of them the same kind of way. So I'm just going to stick this back to default, and I'm going to make a copy of this, and we're going to go into our, not the fedora mesh, the fedora material. And we're going to just plug this in for now instead of that, and we're going to make the defaults on this 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. So we get back to our, that doesn't look nearly as dark as, oh, it's 0.03, 0.03, 0.03, 0.03. And we'll go with that. So now this material parameter is called hat color. So every hat that we make that we want to have manipulatable colors, that parameter is going to need to be called hat colors. That way we should be able to access it and manipulate it as we see fit. So now we're going to need to come into this. What I could do is just go into Photoshop, make this a grayscale texture instead so we can get more compression out of it. And it'll probably be slightly better on performance, but I don't think it's that really big of a deal to just add a desaturation node to this. Like so. I'm just going to try this real quick. It might not work that great. We'll see how good of a grayscale we can get out of this. It's pretty dark. Is there a good way we can like add some like, try to make it so we have more detail to work with in the texture? So multiply it by like 1.2, 1.6, 1.8. So we gotta boost it a little bit. And then we're gonna add our hat color node in here, and we're going to multiply this by that, like so. So right now it's just white. Now actually I'm going to need to go into Photoshop anyway. Watching these things real time must be real damn exciting, because you get to see how stupid I am and how it's all kind of just, you know, doing it as you go. I figure it out eventually. Just a lot of fucking around until it works. Let's go in here and check out this color. It's about mostly red and some green and some blue. So we'll just go like 1.1 and then 0.3 0.3. 0.2 on green, 0.2 on blue. How much more can we boost this? Now that looks like you can actually see it properly, but I feel like this is going to start going emissive, so we might need to clamp it. That way it never exceeds the value of 1 and it never goes into bloom. So we'll clamp it off at 1. Does this completely change the way it looks? Not especially. So let's go ahead and save that real quick. See what is it done to the hair. It definitely it looks a lot different now. So maybe make this a little darker. Still like crap here. Well, let's just put it on crash in the game and see what it looks like. Yeah, so that's quite a different look. So maybe like a little bit less green and blue. A lot more red. There's a lot of tinkering here. This is not the exciting part, trust me. That looks pretty close. .06, 0.06, and maybe just like a tad bit darker, 2.8. I think we'll call that good. That looks pretty spot on, I think. Okay. So now we have all these different hats with materials that can be modified. In terms of the color, at least. So we're just going to make sure we save this package before it crashes. Now we're going to come into the hat base. And I think what we're going to need to do is define linear color, I think. Yeah, it's linear color, and we're going to call it hat color. So basically what a linear color is, in terms of a variable, is it's just a structure that contains 3 floats, floating point numbers or decimals, that are going to be between 0 and 1. And 0 is none, 1 is full, and the 3 floats are red, green, and blue. So it's basically just a container to define red, green, and blue color. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna wanna, let's see, function post begin play. Now at function post begin play, or at least what post begin play is a function that is called automatically by the engine, saying, alright, this object has been created. Basically the first frame it's there, this is what it's gonna do. And since we're dealing with a child class, meaning it extends all the way down from like the engine's classes that go like from object to actor to, we have custom Bandicoot actor, and then down to hat base, whatever. Just to make sure that this class is actually executing all the things that it's supposed to, all the way up the hierarchy, we want to do a super post begin play. So that calls the post begin play function of the parent class. So just to make sure it does lower level stuff that it's supposed to do. And another thing we're gonna need is a var material instance constant, and we're gonna call this hat mat. So now what we're gonna need to do in our post begin play function, we're gonna actually need to instantiate our hat material, which is gonna be a new class. How the fuck do you do this? New class? Something like material instance constant, I think. Okay, apparently it's new Call the new function, pass it none, and then it's just class this. So basically what's going on here is we set up HatMat, which is basically just a container to hold a material instance, and then down here we're actually basically spawning a material instance that's going into that container, if that makes any sense. Next, we're actually going to have to do something with HatMat, so we're going to be like HatMat dot set parent, yes. So what this is doing is basically telling it what material we're going to be becoming an instance of. And the answer to that is HatMesh dot get material. And the ID, which is this the first one, so 0. Remember in programming you count from 0. So 0, the first one. So that's going to be getting the material at the first ID in the hat mesh. So now once we get that, we have to be like hat mesh dot set material at the first ID, so 0, and we want to set it to HatMat. So now what we're doing is we're creating a material instance. We're setting the material that we're becoming an instance of is what's already on the hat mesh, and then we're setting the material of the hat mesh back to the material instance that we've just created based on the material that it had. Alright, so now once it actually loads in the material, we want to set our linear color, hat color that we just created. We want to set that equal to HatMat dot get vector parameter hat color, I think, maybe. And just to make sure that works, we're actually gonna do a log to our console just so we can see what's going on here. For debugging purposes, we're going to do a tilde log, and then parentheses, we're going to go string. Can we convert that to a string? Probably not. So what we're going to do is just be like red, and then one of these, and then string of hat color dot r. And then another one of these, and we're going to be lazy bastards. Copy paste. So we're going to be green, blue. Let's see if this compiles. Nope. Okay, so the actual function was get vector parameter value. La-di-da. Try again. Nope. Okay, I think what I'm doing wrong here is the way this is not how you're supposed to use this function. So I think it's actually supposed to be like this. Something like this. So instead of this function returning a value that we'll put into hat color, we'll just call the function and then put hat color in the output parameter, I think. Let's try again. Yeah! Okay. Alright, now I'm going to need to arrange this in a way where you guys can actually see it. But now when we attach the hat fedora, we should get... Hey, look at that! 0.03.03.03. So it actually did get the color correctly. So now if we put on default hair, that was like, it was 1 and then 0.02? 0.02? Oh, 0.06. But that's right, it's right. And then Dunce hat should just be all 1s. Yeah. Now you may be saying, what the fuck is the point of this? Why didn't you, why? Well, now, when you load a hat, it automatically can pull in the default color without needing a bunch of stupid bullshit. So now all you have to do is make a function for manipulating these numbers, and then we also have a reference to what the default was for when you reset it. So let's do that. Alright, so we're going to just set up a function, set hat color, and it's going to take in another linear color, and we'll call this in color. And then we're going to be like hat mat dot set vector, set vector parameter value. And the value we're going to want to change would be hat color, and then we want to set it to the in color. Something a wee bit like that. So now we have to set up the console command to actually call that function, and all our console commands are handled through the custom Bandicoot player controller. And we're just gonna be like exec function and set hat color, and it's gonna take a linear color, and it's gonna be the in color again. Now what we want to do is set up a local hat base, and we're gonna just call it the hat. Then what we're gonna want to do is be like, for each all actors class hat base and we're gonna go the hat. So basically what this is doing is we're setting up an empty hat base container, and then for every hat base object we find currently existing in the game while it's running, we're going to put that into the hat base container so we could modify stuff about it or call things on it or whatever you want to do. So what we're going to want to do with this is just be like the hat dot set hat color in color. I think that should be it. Nope. Alright, so this is my fault because I'm an idiot. I put all actor. It's supposed to be all actors. Okay, I'll put this where you guys can maybe see it. Now we got the dunce hat on. It's easiest to work with. Set hat color. How the hell do you do these? Is it just gonna be like 1 0 0? No, how the fuck do you R equals 1, G equals 0, B equals 0? Alright, I don't know how to pass in a linear color through the console. So in order to avoid that, I'm just going to change this and make a local linear color. In color. Then I'm going to change this. Do a float R, float G, float B. And then we're going to be like linear, nope. Then we're going to be like in color dot R equals R. In color dot B equals B. In color dot G equals G. Sure. Let's try it again. Alright, moment of truth time. Once again, I'll put it up here so you can probably see it. Dunce hat. Set the color 1 0 0, and it's red. Now if we go 0 red green, blue, and you could obviously mix these. So it'll be like, let's just do something kind of interesting here. Let's go to crash default hair. Let's give the crash some kind of like cyanish color. Like, let's go like 0. God damn it, 0.71. Yeah, now he's got a frosted ass, blue ass mohawk. Yeah. If we make it all, how white can you get it though? Oh, he's old gray Crash. Old gray Crash, he ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be. Old gray Crash, he ain't what he used to be, he got all fucking fat. Alright, now we can do that. Now it's just a matter of making the sliders on the screen so you could mess with that. Which, I'm still gonna put off another episode because I still don't want to open Flash. Can you blame me? I mean, look at it. So that'll be the next part, making the sliders so you could change that automatically rather than having to manually enter it in the console. So that wraps it up for this part. I'd like to take another moment and thank our super really cool guy patrons over on Patreon. We got XX Brasta, 455XX, Daniel and Average Fella, Kean McKeon, Crawler TM, and David Shook. Thank you guys so much again for your $10 donations, as well as thank you to everyone else who's supporting us on Patreon, and thank you to everybody who just watches us on YouTube who either can't or doesn't want to support us. That's cool too. Yeah, I'll see you in the next part.